Hello, today we're going to talk about the Guid module that is part of Bricks. On the agenda today, we have talking about the capabilities of the Guid module as well as a demonstration of the Guid module, and then you can try some of the exercises on your own. A little introduction to the Guid module. Researchers collect PII, sometimes referred to as private health information or PHI, from their participants, and they store that data in a local database that is not made available outside of the research institution. Typically, that data is only available to a limited number of individuals. And it is the availability of this module at the investigator site that is used to generate GUIDs, which are Global Unique Identifiers. This is made possible by issuing special software that runs at the research site on an investigator's computer, or allowing users to access it through an application. This software performs a one-way encryption, often called a one-way hash code, which is sent to the Guid client to determine if the research subject hash codes have been seen by the system before. The encrypted hash codes do not have information to recreate the PII. However, they do have enough information to determine if a research participant GUID already exists in the system. To generate a GUID, you need 7 to 8 required pieces of information. If you do not have these, you can create a pseudo-GUID. The Guid module allows you to create a GUID, create multiple GUIDs with and without error checking, create a pseudo-GUID, convert a pseudo-GUID to a GUID, or search if a GUID or pseudo-GUID already exists in the system. For NTRR, many studies submitted may not have all the PII required to generate a GUID for each subject. So investigators can generate pseudo-GUIDs, which are unique IDs not based on PII. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Guid module in the system. First, you'll want to log in. After logging in, you can click to get to the Guid module by clicking on Guid in the top navigation, or you can click on the icon here. You'll be taken to a page with an overview of GUIDs as well as a list of the fields that are required to generate a GUID. To create a GUID, you click on this Create GUIDs link in the left navigation, and then launch the Guid tool. This requires that you have Java version 7 or higher installed. While the tool launches, I want to point out that you'll have access to a Guid guide as well as some additional helpful documentation should you have any trouble with the Guid module. When the screen opens, you'll notice that this first screen is to create a single GUID, and that the 7 to 8 required pieces of information are listed on the left side here. You would need to fill out the subject's information both in this column here and this column on the right as well in order to generate the GUID. However, since NTRR will mostly be using pseudo-GUIDs, we will run through 2 functions for creating pseudo-GUIDs. First, you can generate a single pseudo-GUID. You can click here and say yes, and the system will generate a pseudo-GUID for you. Pseudo-GUID is listed here. You would want to copy that and then paste it into your research data next to your subject. However, you might need to create many pseudo GUIDs. If you are an admin in the Guid module, you will have the option to generate multiple pseudo GUIDs. You can enter the number that you need and say OK. The system will ask you to save your files of pseudo GUIDs. You would then need to navigate to that file and I usually open it in Notepad, and you will see your list of pseudo GUIDs there. Now another option for getting a list of all of your GUIDs is to go to the My GUIDs item here. This table will display all GUIDs and pseudo GUIDs that you have created. You can export these results to a CSV file. And you'll have a CSV list of all the GUIDs you created, whether it's a pseudo GUID or a GUID, and the date that you created it. Back in our GUID tool, if in the future you wanted to convert a pseudo GUID to a GUID, you could do that by clicking here. You would need to enter the pseudo GUID ID number for that subject, and then again fill out the PII in both this column here and this column on the right. This would convert the pseudo GUID to a GUID. The GUID admin screen really lets you see a list of all GUIDs and pseudo GUIDs in the system created by anybody. This list could also be exported. If a pseudo GUID or GUID was converted, there will be a value in this linked to column. So this here was originally a pseudo GUID and it was converted to a GUID. That's it for the GUID module. You should go ahead and try to create some pseudo GUIDs, and if you can, try to create a GUID just so that you're familiar with the process.